we have art at 8:45. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. We're going to skip a few sections in our poem today. So, yes. It's the day that Miss Pontel scheduled us for art, so that's the day that we go to art. I can't control it. So I'm going to present my screen, and let's have you guys open up our poem. Skylar, face forward, please, and work on something. Okay, we have our poem, A Blessing. Let's go ahead and get that opened up. I'll give you guys a minute to get there. All right, so go ahead and get that story open. So those of you as you finish up your breakfast, make sure you sanitize your desks, please. Okay. For those of you that just joined us online, there's a new thing on here called Raise Your Hand, which is interesting. Hey, I don't know. That must be a new update. So if you have a question and you don't want to call out or you don't want to type it out, raise your hand, and then I don't know. You can always try it, and I'll come over and see what's up, what you need. Or you can just type a question to me if you want to say. But it's there. Yoshi, you do not have to comment on every single word I say. Please stop. Thank you. Okay, let's get going because we don't have a ton of time, like I said. So yesterday, we did some stuff under Making Meaning. We completed first read, comprehension check, research, close read the text, and analyze the text. So can we not interrupt me as I'm in the middle of talking, please? So we have analyze, craft, and structure. That's what we're going to start with. I am going to replay the poem one more time because it's like a minute long. So we're going to replay the poem, refresh our memory on what it's about, and then we will talk about analyze, craft, and structure. So I'm going to skip through this. It starts at like 1 minute-ish. We'll go with like right here. I'm going to turn this up, so those of you online, it might be super loud, so maybe turn your volume down really quick. But I'm going to play this really quick in 3, 2, 1.
A Blessing by James Wright. Just off the highway to Rochester, Minnesota, twilight bounds softly forth on the grass, and the eyes of those two Indian ponies darken with kindness. They have come gladly out of the willows to welcome my friend and me. We step over the barbed wire into the pasture where they have been grazing all day alone. They ripple tensely. They can hardly contain their happiness that we have come. They bow shyly as wet swans. They love each other. There is no loneliness like theirs. At home once more, they begin munching the young tufts of spring in the darkness. I would like to hold the slenderer one in my arms, for she has walked over to me and nuzzled my left hand. She is black and white. Her mane falls wild on her forehead, and the light breeze moves me to caress her long ear that is delicate as the skin over a girl's wrist. Suddenly I realize that if I stepped out of my body, I would break into blossom.
Alrighty. So there's a little bit of a refresher on what the story or the poem was about. We have some horses. We have what we assume are people, right? Yeah. I'm not entirely sure where he's going with that line either, but poetry is very much like you can kind of take your own interpretation of it. So if you're not entirely sure where that last line goes and what it means, then kind of it's poetry. You kind of come up with your own interpretation. But let's go ahead and look at our analyze, craft, and structure over here and talk about some elements of poetry that we keep seeing, because we've done quite a few poems this year already, right? So it says a blessing is a lyric poem, which is a short work about a moment in time or a single insight. So this is a single moment that they're talking about. Most lyrical poems use literary devices to add meaning and beauty. For example, a poet may use sound devices or groups of words that create sound patterns. So a sound device is something that gives you more information about it. It gives it a little bit more character. It's more fun to read. Kind of creates a musical effect. When the guy is reading it, you kind of hear like the rise and fall in his tone and all of that stuff. So yeah, it kind of sound devices are things like repetition, onomatopoeia. We learned about onomatopoeias. What is an onomatopoeia? Anybody? What's an onomatopoeia?
Like a word with a pow.
Good. It's a word that sounds like a sound, like boom, bang, pow. So onomatopoeias are sound devices. Alliteration is a sound device. Consonance and assonance. Those words are difficult to say, but those are some different ones. We're going to focus on repetition and alliteration today. Which one is what? Alliteration? What? Oh, we're in analyze, craft, and structure. Yeah. So repetition, the root word there is repeat, repeating something. So it's where it uses any part of the language more than once. It could be a letter, a word, a phrase, or a sentence. So if we click on it, again, it can be used more than once. It's a lot of the time it's used in poetry, but you will see it in paragraph writing as well. It depends on the author and what they're writing about. But a repetition would be something like Sally sold seashells down by the seashore, or Peter Piper picked a pebble, whatever. I can't even say that one. But it uses the same sound or a word over and over and over again. Okay? You repeat something.
And how much was the
That one doesn't repeat a sound or a word, though. That's just a tongue twister.
Is it father too?
Yeah, but repetition is a little bit different. So repetition will just emphasize and reuse a sound or a word or a phrase, sometimes a sentence even, over and over and over again. Okay? Alliteration is kind of similar, but the alliteration, I guess what I said is more of an alliteration, uses the same sound at the beginning of the words. So it's a constant, like, same sound at the beginning, which would be more like Sally sold seashells down by the seashore. Uses that S sound over and over and over again at the beginning. So it has the same, if that is not a C. Sally starts with an S. Sells starts with an S. So, yeah. Alliterations use the same sound at the beginning of words in a complete sentence or in a phrase. So there's two things there, repeating words or using the same sound. So these sound devices make a line of poetry sound like flowing water or banging of a drum or something in between, but it kind of gives the poem rhythm and something to follow along to. Poets will also use figurative language, which are imaginative descriptions. One common type of figurative language is a simile. We have talked a little bit about similes before. A simile is when you compare two things that use the words like or as. So she's as strong as a bull. He's as swift as a fox. You're comparing two things with the words like or as. This sentence here is a simile. It says, papers fill the room like hay in a barn. So the papers are being compared to the hay using the word like. Okay? And then finally, a poem's subject and the language can combine to create a certain tone or an attitude. So the way that the poem sounds. If you think about, let's say you're talking to your friends and you're being really friendly and you're having a good time and laughing and joking, That's a very lighthearted, fun tone. And then maybe you're arguing with someone, you're probably going to have more of an angry tone. So it's the way that you are saying things. That is your tone. It's your attitude towards whatever is happening. So if we think about the tone of this poem, is it angry, sad? How do you think this poem sounds?
Happy.
Kind of happy?
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of gives off like a calm vibe. It's almost like the vibe you get from it too. I feel like vibe might be a good word too. So the tone is just the words. It's almost like an emotion. How this poem sounds to you. What's the emotion it's giving you? Okay. So we're going to answer some questions based off of this information above right here. And let's look at number 1. We're going to have to identify this sound device. You want to write in complete sentences, please. Number 1 says, what sound device appears in line 9? So let's go find line 9. That's this one right here. Well, it wants the sound device. So we need to say whether it's repetition, alliteration, a simile, or if it's tone. So it says, they ripple tensely, they can hardly contain their happiness. I mean, you do get some tone from it, but let's focus more on if it's an alliteration or if it's a repetition. So they ripple tensely, they can hardly contain their happiness. Are we repeating something, or is the sound the same throughout the whole line? Okay. I want you guys to answer these on your own. So is it an alliteration or is it a repetition, and explain why you think so, okay? Alliteration is the same sound at the beginning of the words. So Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. The crazy cat. No, because they don't make the same noise, the same sound. So repetition or alliteration. So you answer that and then explain why you think that. Okay. And I'll give you a minute to answer it. Keep in mind that this part, analyze, craft, and structure, is one of the graded ones. So you want to make sure you're completing these as I give you the time to work on them right now, please. Doesn't actually make it bigger. Okay, repetition or alliteration, and explain why you think that. They ripple tensely, they can hardly contain their happiness. I'll give you about 1 more minute on this one. If you scroll back up, there are definitions, so use the definitions that are above. Also, think about the word repeat. All right. Let's go ahead and look at number 2. Again, I might go a little bit quickly today just because we do have art soon. So if you have to go back and rewatch this, it is being recorded for you. And you can always go back and pause and stuff. So number 2 says, what sound device appears in lines 23 to 24? So that's all the way at the bottom. It's these last 2 lines. That if I stepped out of my body, I would break into blossom. Okay. And I'll narrow it down for you. If I stepped out of my body, I would break into blossom.
No one doesn't like that line, right?
Yeah.
You guys know what blossom means? A flower can open up and blossom. A tree can blossom when all the leaves pop out on it. So for the person to step outside their body, maybe they've been cooped up, maybe they've been traveling in a car all day, or maybe just mentally they've been cooped up. So they talk about stepping outside of their body and opening the blossom. So they kind of open up and they're a little bit more aware of what's going on around them, and they're open to the whole universe type thing. So they come out of their little shell, they've opened up, and now they're open to everything that's going on around them.
Okay. So this line is, again, it's either going to be repetition or alliteration. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to scroll up. So I stepped out of my body, I would break into blossom. Are we repeating things, or do words start with the same sounds? And then you need to explain why you think that, and explain how it emphasizes certain words. Emphasize means that it makes some of the words more important than other ones. So I'll give you about 2 or 3 minutes to do this one. Is it repetition or alliteration? Explain and answer the questions I just wrote right there.
You guys aren't quite there yet, but a lot of times they refer to the young people as blossoming. So maybe all the way through grade school, you've just been kind of really shy and closed down. But when you get to junior high and high school, you start to socialize more, you open up, maybe you start playing sports, you start becoming active in things. You're like opening up to everything else going on around you.
Okay, to answering that question. Okay, about 1 more minute on this one. Okay, focus on yours, please. I can't control the actual computer. Yeah. All right, let's look at number 3. Okay, now we're talking about a simile. This one says, what comparing word is used to create a simile in line 11? Now remember, similes compare 2 things that are not similar, right? 2 things that you're like, how do these even connect? But it compares them using what 2 words? What are the 2 words that they use? I heard it. What was it? Like or as. You will use the words like or as to compare things. Sorry, my phone is ringing. But so let's look at line 11. That is right here. And we're going to look at this specific sentence. They bow shyly as wet swans. So part A. What 2 words are what word? So you have a part A. What word is it? Like, what word are they using to compare? Is it like or as? Yeah. So part A is what word? Part B asks, what are they comparing? What are the 2 things that are being compared? And part C says, why would the author use the simile?
Can you send Elisha paper to the office for a moment?
Yes. You can type A, B, and C out if you'd like to, but you need to make sure you answer all three questions. What word is being used? What are they comparing? Yes. Yeah.
Elijah Faber, please come to the office. Elijah Faber to the office.
Did I answer her? Oh, maybe I didn't say it loud enough. Or maybe I didn't answer. I don't remember. I did? Okay. Yeah. All right. 2 minutes. Answer these questions in about 2 minutes, please. That's all right. Okay, be working on those questions, please. This is my favorite thing. Okay, two minutes on this question, please. Yes, what are they comparing? This is being compared to this. Mhm. You finished them? No, just wait. Okay, about 1 more minute. Oh, the story? No, we're gonna finish this story today.
What's that one, Percy Jackson?
No, the one that we're working on here.
I don't remember.
It's because you weren't here. Yeah. Alrighty. So, Alex, read the line over again. Okay, let's look at number 4. I know I'm going a little bit quick, but like I said, we are going to run out of time today, so I want to just make sure we go right through it. You can always rewatch these videos on YouTube. Well, they're not on YouTube. They're on Schoology, but they're through YouTube, right? And they will explain what you missed if you missed something. So, number 4 says, explain the simile, so like or as, that appears in lines 20 to 21. So, 20 to 21 is right here. It says, and the light breeze moves me to caress her long ear that is delicate as the skin over a girl's wrist. So, let me actually get rid of this really quick because it's really line 21 that has the simile. It's talking about how the wind is as delicate as the skin on a girl's wrist. So part A here wants you to answer what is being compared. What are they comparing? And part B says, what quality does the simile give to the pony that it describes? So remember, we talked about qualities a lot this week as like the personality traits that something has, all of that stuff. So what, oh my gosh, what quality does the simile give the pony? Okay, so you got 2 questions to answer on this one. I'll give you a couple of minutes again. Yes, Yoshi. Yeah, you don't have to ask, just plug it in. Okay.
Jones, I just want to say, I think that's gender bias, because my skin is pretty soft too.
Oh, is it? It might be.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
But this was written probably in the 50s, right? So back then, gender bias was a huge thing.
All right.
Yeah. Gotta think about the times, Mr. Turner. Gender bias is when you give, so like you say only girls can do this, or only boys can do this, or in this case, only girls' skin can be soft, which is not true. Guys can have soft skin too.
And I didn't mean to distract you guys. Back on task, okay? Don't give me a couple of minutes to knock that out.
Okay, be working please, you got about 2 minutes. For what? Part B says, what quality does the simile give the pony? On part B. So what personality trait or what like quality in general does the simile give the pony? Okay, we'll do about 1 more minute on this one. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and go look at number 5 here. So remember what tone is first. So how would you describe the tone of this poem? We already kind of talked about this. Remember, the tone is like basically the vibe that it gives off. Does it give off an angry tone or a calm tone, a happy tone? So what tone? So I'm just going to write complete sentence here because we can answer that question without me rewording it. Okay, so a complete sentence here. What tone does this poem give off? How would you describe the tone? And I'm going to give you like 1 minute on this one because one sentence, what is the tone of this poem? What sort of emotion does it give off?
When you read this poem, what's the tone? Is it like excitement? Is a lot of stuff happening? Is it peaceful and tranquil?
Just need one sentence probably.
Well, is there anything about action and writing or anything like that? How does it make you feel? What's the tone? Let's turn it into a whole thing. You know, the poem is pretty calm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, about 1 more minute, and then we're gonna move on, just because we're running low on time. So, like I said, don't have a ton of time here today. Yeah, we're gonna skip a few on language development. So I'm gonna close number 5, and I'm gonna close analyze, craft, and well, actually, I'm just gonna close all of making meaning. So we have done everything under making meaning. So you should have everything done under that, or we'll be working on it. Now, under language development, we're going to skip quite a few things, and we're only going to do one of them because we're low on time today. The only one we're going to do, can you guess what it is? No. No. Conventions. We always do the conventions. Okay, so go ahead and open up the conventions, please. And we're going to talk about verbs today. And remember, verbs are the things that show what you're doing. So I ran. I walked. I wrote something. She will go somewhere. Like, the verb tells you what the person is doing or what the animal or the object is doing. So we're going to talk about verbs and past, present, and future tense of verbs. You guys are going to rewrite some sentences. So I probably only have time to explain it, and you guys might have to do this on your own time. We have less time today to work on things. So, verb tenses. It says, a verb expresses an action or a state of being. Every complete sentence includes at least one verb. There are two main types of verbs, action verbs and linking verbs. The first one that you guys will think of automatically as a verb is an action verb. It refers to the actual physical or mental thing that you are doing. Jumping, running is an action verb. Guess, wish are action verbs because they refer to the way of thinking rather than your feelings. But it's like a physical doing something. Those are action verbs. If you can physically do the thing that the verb is telling you to do, it's an action verb. The other way, or the other verb that you have, are linking verbs, which just connect the noun or a pronoun to the word that it identifies or renames or describes. So linking forms are all forms of the word be. So I'm just going to highlight this word because it's the main one. Any form of the word be would be something like am, is, were, will be, was. All of those are linking verbs. They're not something that you can physically do, but they are a verb still. So some examples of that would be they were hungry. I was hungry. I am hungry. Am is the verb there. Was, were. So those are linking verbs. Those are verbs. Okay? And then we also know that verbs can be used in the past, present, and future tense. So the verb tense shows when it took place. When is the present tense? If you're talking about something in the present tense, what time is that? You're doing it right then and there. Okay? So I run. Run is a present tense verb. What about past tense? Good, you're doing it in the past. So I ran somewhere. What about the future tense?
You're going to do
You're
it?
going to do it. You're going to do it in the future. So I will run later, right? So there's the different forms of the verbs, and I don't think that that's new information to you guys. You guys have learned the different verb tenses before, past, present, and future tense. Okay. I'm going to skip this little chart because I don't think you guys really need, if you need to look more closely at past, present, and future tenses, they're there for you if you need them as reference. But we need to do these activities. We actually probably have some time. So we have number 1, part A, B, and C. In all of these, the only thing I need you to do is tell me what the verb is. So for part A, you don't even need to explain it. I just want to know what the verb is. Okay, fill out what the verb is in part A. They bow shyly as wet swans. What is the verb? What are they doing? Okay. Part B, you're going to do the same thing. It's either going to be an action verb or a linking verb. And then part C, you're going to do the same thing. Identify what the verb is. Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do A, B, and C because I think you guys can find the verb and type it out for 3 questions in 2 minutes. Okay? A, B, and C. Do you guys want hints? Okay, so in part A, it's an action verb.
Yeah, I knew that because it has an action.
Yep. In part B, it's an action verb. Okay. And in part C, this one is a linking verb.
Can we just write what the verb is?
I literally just need you to tell me what the verb is.
Is it one word?
One word. Just tell me what the verb is.
Like past,
No, that's the verb tense. I just want the actual verb. So if I had the sentence, she ran to the store, the verb is ran, so I would need you to write ran. What? No, I just said identify the verb. What is the verb? All right, so just typing out one word. What is the verb? Yeah, but all I have to do is go ask her to do it, and she'll do it immediately. So
What happened?
it locks you out of the websites that aren't educational. So if I notice you on YouTube every day instead of on my lessons, I can ask to get you put in the penalty box. You can't go to YouTube anymore. Yeah. Linking. Oh, Mr. Hendrickson. I'm only trying to listen. Oh, yeah. Making me give up in the back. Okay. So, like I said, don't have a ton of time. So we are going to go look at number 2. This one says reread lines 18 through 21. So I'm just going to highlight those green. We'll go with green. What you need to do is just highlight the verbs. That's it. Highlight the verbs for number 2. You don't need to type anything in the notebook. Just highlight the verbs in lines 18 through 21. Highlight the verbs. That's all you need to do. I'm going to give you, bless you, 2 minutes on this one. 2 minutes to highlight the verbs in that green section that I highlighted. Any verb. Yep. Linking verbs or action verbs. Black and white are adjectives. They're describing something. Sounds good. Maybe make a note of that for me in your thing.
I'm still blocked by the USD one.
Okay, I'm going to make a note and talk to technology about it because I kind of forgot. So thank you for the reminder. Okay, while you guys are up at art, I will talk to people about that. Okay, Elijah?
Okay.
All right, so I hope you guys are finishing that one up because now we're going to talk about that last part, the write it. On this one, you do need to retype these sentences and you are going to change the verb tense. So this is the instructions right here, so make sure you do what this says. Number 1, and the eyes of those 2 Indian ponies darken with kindness. You need to change that to a future tense. So, and the eyes, I'll help you with this one. What is the verb? No, that's the eyes are the noun. Darken. Darken is the verb. We need to change that to a future tense. So the eyes of those, good. The eyes of those 2 Indian ponies. And the part that we need to change is the word darken. And those of them in class said that that the verb would be will darken. And that is correct. They will darken later with the kindness. So that's all you need to do is retype the sentence and change it to the correct tense. So this one was future tense. Number 2 in this one, you need to change it to past tense. And number 3 is present tense. Okay, so you guys have about 2 minutes, not even that. We have to go to art, honestly. So you guys are not gonna be able to finish this at this moment, but those of you, we just need to go to art. So those of you that are online need to hop over to Miss Pontel's art class upstairs. You can go to her Google